Let's hear it for the boy, the music and style icon who ruled the pop charts with Culture Club and hits like Do You Really Want to Hurt Me and Karma Chameleon. Boy George is here.
Our first guest is a music icon and a true survivor. As the lead singer of the 80s supergroup Culture Club, he sold more than 100 million singles and 50 million albums thanks to hits like Karma Chameleon, Do You Really Want to Hurt Me, and Miss Me Blind, and so many more. Now he's released his first studio album in 18 years, entitled This Is What I Do. Please welcome the very brilliant, the one and only Boy George.
On the show. Obviously, Sharon and I know, but I'm a massive fan. We tweet each other.
Yes,
it's
yes,
me, you know.
yes. I love. Can I tell you something? Somebody beat that to death. Did you beat that to death? That's you.
I didn't do it myself. No.
You didn't do it.
Look amazing.
Look at
Christine.
Christine.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Now,
she did it.
you're clearly so excited to have you here. Welcome. You have such an incredible history in the music business. I don't know if you were listening earlier when we were talking about One Direction and whether they were bigger than the Beatles. So what's your opinion about whether they're bigger than the Beatles?
I was going to say, not in my house. I think Sharon's right. You know, the Beatles, you know, changed the world. You know what I mean? And yes, there was no Twitter, but
yeah,
you know, I think, you know, nowadays people get famous really quickly and they've got millions of followers, but they don't seem to have much of a cultural impact.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
They made the world fun at a time when it wasn't.
I mean, they were like Beatles wigs. I remember Beatles
The
wigs.
plastic ones from Woolworths.
Exactly. They were like outfits. You know, I don't have a One Direction wig. No. Yet. You know, they're huge. I mean, obviously they're huge, but, you know, it's always a dangerous thing to compare yourself with the Beatles.
Yes, indeed.
Really? But Bubba, he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Bless.
Yeah.
Anyway, 30 years ago, when you first won your first Grammy, you accepted it via satellite. Why were you not here?
I can't remember why, but we ended up in London with Joan Rivers, which was amazing.
Fabulous.
But to be honest with you, we were there all day doing, like, you know, rehearsals, and I was so bored. And I ended up kind of like, you know, I got some jewellery and I ended up wearing, like, every piece of it. You know, like, putting more wigs on and getting more dressed up. And by the time we got to do the kind of acceptance thing, I made a very famous joke. You know, I said, thank you, America, you know, a good drag queen when you see one. You know, I come from England where drag is like, we used to have drag on the TV, Danny LaRue, you know, we had it growing up, you know. So to us, it wasn't like a big deal, but in America, it seemed like it was like, people fell off their chairs. my press agent at the time was crying. It was just like, really, it was just like a flippant comment. But it kind of, what it meant was that every drag queen in America fell in love with me, so I'm kind of like the patron.
That's right. It's so true. I mean, when you hit the scene here, I remember it in Culture Club, and you guys were different than anybody, especially you. You taught teenagers that it's okay to be who you are. You must be so proud of that.
Yeah, my thing was never just about sexuality. It was just about anyone who felt different, you know, because I kind of grew up, you know, being called names at school and all of that, and so kind of, you know, from an early age, I kind of knew I was different, even before I really knew what was wrong.
Well, nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong with you. You're
you
just
know, like
different.
kids have this ability to kind of, you know, poke you where it hurts, and so I grew up with that. So when I kind of started making music, I wanted to kind of create this sort of worldwide club of outsiders, if
That's
you like,
right.
you know, anyone that was different.
That's right. Which you did. That's right.
Yeah, Culture Club. Now, you've never been one to hold back on your thoughts. You had a very public feud with George Michael. Now, what was that feud over, and have the two of you made up?
Do you know what? I think every pop star has a nemesis, right? It doesn't matter who you are. And mine, for a minute, was George Michael, because he was called George. And he was English, and, you know, we kind of followed each other. You know, it was like he'd have a record out, and it might go to #1, and mine might go to #2. So I had a little bit of a kind of moment where I kind of blamed him for everything that went wrong in my life. But now, you know, I mean, obviously now as I'm a little bit older, a bit more grown up, obviously I can appreciate what a brilliant artist he is. And, you know, I mean, I bought his records over the years. Same with Madonna. I mean, I said mean things about her, but I always bought her records, you know. Wait,
have you made up?
And now I've actually turned into George Michael.
Are the two of you on good terms now?
Oh, yeah, no, I love him. He's great. Yeah, he's
Okay.
amazing.
Yeah. You recently said that, I want to get the quote right, my past feels like someone else's life. So tell us what you mean by
Well,
that.
conveniently, you know, the great thing about the past is it's always behind you.
Yeah.
So that's the one good thing about it. I mean, obviously, in the last kind of 10 years, I've been through quite a lot of very extreme things. And as I sit here now, you know, in LA, you lot, you know... It just, you know, my life kind of feels so kind of great at the moment and so kind of shiny and, you know, just bubbly, and it's just hard to imagine where I was, you know, kind of 6 years ago, 7 years ago. You know, I was in active addiction and, you know, it's just weird. Recovery is really strange, you know, because you kind of go through, you know, these kind of changes and it kind of takes a while, and then suddenly it feels like you look at your past and you think, how could I have ever been like that? How could I have ever gone to work like that? You know, across the street like that? You know, it kind of feels unbelievable when you get sober. Yeah. Wow. You know, it's quite a sort of interesting...
George, how long have you been sober?
I will be 6 years sober on March the 2nd.
Do it.
Well, you know, the thing about me, I don't know if it's me or just men in general, but when it comes to creativity, I'm really think on my feet, but when it comes to self-development, it takes me quite a while to get it. And I've had quite a few sort of universal bangs on the head. But for me, a lot of extreme things happened to me, and they didn't really seem to make a difference. But then one morning, I just woke up and I'd had enough. There was one sort of Monday morning, I just woke up and I kind of just hated my life.
Wow.
I was like, this is really going nowhere good. So I decided I better do something about it.
Good for you.
Much more with Boy George when we come right back.
My name is Jenny, and I quit smoking with Chantix. Before Chantix, I tried to quit probably about 5 times. It was different than the other times I tried to quit.
Along with support, Chantix varenicline is proven to help people quit smoking. It's a non-nicotine pill.
Chantix reduced my urge to smoke. That helped me quit smoking.
Some people had changes in behavior, thinking or mood, hostility, agitation, depressed mood, and suicidal thoughts or actions while taking or after stopping Chantix. If you notice any of these, stop Chantix and call your doctor right away. Tell your doctor about any history of mental health problems, which could get worse while taking Chantix. Don't take Chantix if you've had a serious allergic or skin reaction to it. If you develop these, stop Chantix and see your doctor.
Which is...
Nursing homes safer. We have to hold them accountable for injuring our loved ones.
Call 1-800-BED-SORE. That's 1-800-BED-SORE. Call now.
All new Dr. Phil. A daughter claims memories of sex abuse and murder.
Lost my crown. Will I be king again? What's the word on the street? Have I lost my crown? Will I be king of everything?
And we are back with Boy George. So, congratulations on your new CD, which is the first in 18 years. It's so good. And the British press is already calling it the comeback of the year.
I know, great. I was so pleased.
What made you decide to do it after taking all that time away?
Well, I've been DJing for the last 20 years, so I've been immersed in kind of, very progressive kind of dance scene, and that's kind of helped me not to have to think about what I did in the past, which has been a luxury, because if you kind of always have to repeat what you did, it can become a bit like purgatory. So having that kind of outlet for the last 20 years has been great, and it's allowed me to come back to it with a kind of, excitement.
Yeah, fresh.
Because it doesn't feel like I'm doing the same old thing. Plus, I've made the record myself, put it on my own label, so I own it.
That's awesome.
That's a first, that's a first. That's exciting, Yeah.
So, a couple of rumours I want to ask you about. Are you going to be touring the US?
We are touring in April here. And, about... Not a massive tour, but, a few sort of selective dates just to kind of warm people up,
And is it going to be Culture Club?
No, me. They're coming later. Me first. We are going to do something. We've been writing in London in the last kind of few months, and that's been really exciting. And I'm actually going to be working this week with Roy, because he lives in LA, so we're going to be writing again this week. So, that's the next big thing. But I needed to kind of be ready for that drama. I didn't... We started kind of talking about this...
opera.
We started talking about it a couple of years ago, and I just didn't feel like I was quite ready for that sort of, because that's a big thing. So, so we're going to do something hopefully at the end of this year or next year.
Fantastic.
We've all been listening to your CD, and it's so fantastic and it's so well reviewed. On the break, I said to Julie, I hate telling people I grew up on their music because it makes it sound like they're old. You're only a few years older than I am, but I did grow up on your music, and I love it so much. And one of my favorite songs is Miss Me Blind, and I wonder if when you look back, all your songs, we were just singing along. We just love... I love you. I'm freaking out. But I want to know, when you look back at that time, if you have a favorite song from that era.
It's a difficult one. I think for me, probably Victims, which was a kind of big ballad, because I think some songs you kind of grow into.
Yeah.
And I think when I perform that now, I kind of do it with a little bit more experience. Kind of get it now.
Emotional weight.
Yeah, but yeah, there's obviously the big hits I love, obviously, because, they've given me so much. They're the reason I'm here now, So.
We all know that Justin Bieber has been making headlines lately for doing not great things. You have had your share of troubles play out in the headlines. If you could give him advice, what would you tell Justin Bieber?
The problem with it is that if I were to give him advice, he'd laugh at me, because that's kind of what you do when you're that age, And I think nowadays the stakes are so much higher. You make so much money. I mean, he's loaded. Who's going to tell him no?
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
He needs like a mum like Sharon. Just a different show, you know what I mean? I mean, it sounds like, it looks like he's kind of, having fun, and to a certain extent, but obviously he's getting arrested, so that's not going to, if you keep doing that, eventually you're going to go down.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
But I do think he'd laugh at me if I tried to, and he's a kid, and I wonder who's looking after him, I wonder who's taking care of him.
It's sad.
Yeah,
it's very sad.
Okay, but George, before we go, in the 80s, you told a reporter that you prefer tea over sex. Do you still prefer tea?
What do you think, Cheryl?
No. We gotta go hang out.
Lloyd George, everybody! The deluxe edition of the new album, This Is What I Do, is available now on iTunes and is in stores March 25th. For more information, go to thetalk.com. We'll be right back.